I have a good friend of mine who keeps me up to date with a lot of the stuff that is happening on the internet that may not necessarily fall under my radar. Of course, the internet culture, content creator culture is such a massive thing. It's pretty impossible to keep up with every single content creator and what their lives are up to. I've got a couple of content creators that I like regularly following, but other than that, I don't really pay much attention to what's happening in the content creator sphere unless it directly involves me in some way. So I have a friend of mine who tells me a lot about what is happening on the streaming side of things because, again, I don't really stream at all, and when I do, it's usually for a sponsor, which funnily enough my audience is completely okay with. But my friend was telling me about, I guess this story recently of the biggest Twitch streamer on the platform, Kai Cenat, or I guess he's the former biggest Twitch streamer on the platform because he recently made a video where he said he was going to quit streaming, which I think is a big deal because I'm pretty sure he was like one of the highest subbed Twitch streamers on the platform or something, I'm not too sure. Either way, he made this video where he said that he was going to quit streaming for a number of reasons. Things like mental health issues, as well as just wanting to improve his life, self-improvement. In that same video, he also talked about a secret channel that he had started where it essentially just looks like short snippets of his life, coming up with designs for his brand, and most importantly, and the big topic I want to talk about in today's video, he has a bunch of videos on wanting to express this sentiment of wanting to improve his speech, and in doing so, reading books for 20 minutes a day. And we're not talking like manga, like we're talking like actual books. Now, to your average person who doesn't know what the fuck a Twitch streamer is, doesn't know who Kai Cenat is, has a life outside of the internet, and has a job. Sorry, I should have given a trigger warning for some of you there with that word. I'll make sure to censor it next time. You're probably thinking to yourself, okay, how is this like big news? Like, who the fuck cares? And trust me, I was also in that same camp as well, but what made me want to talk about it in a video like this is the supposed backlash that this decision by Kai had somehow received from the very audience that built him up. A lot of people were clowning on Kai because in a couple of the videos where he is reading a book, more specifically, I believe he was reading Atomic Habits, which is a book that I have not read yet personally, but I've definitely heard the name of, and I definitely want to give it a read, where I would say maybe not every other word, but every now and then he would stumble onto a word that he didn't know how to pronounce or he didn't know the meaning of. And so what he did, like any normal person would, was look up on his phone, what does the word mean? How do you pronounce it? How do you use it in a sentence? Essentially learning new vocabulary. And somehow, some way, his audience, or I guess people on the internet, took that video and started making fun of this man who was just trying to learn a couple of new words. Just hurling L grenades towards him over the barracks of Twitter anonymity, saying that he was stupid for not knowing how the word spontaneity was pronounced or what it even means. Which I think is possibly one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, and is a big reason why I am slowly starting to personally lose faith in this terminally online young crowd. I never thought I was going to say this, but I'm actually on Kai's side here. Maybe he's done a bunch of shit in his past that maybe are a little bit immoral, potentially. I don't know. I don't know the guy at all, so I guess you can let me know in the comments if I'm missing any, like, contextualization here that could possibly make him a terrible person in any way. I just don't understand what this hostility is towards someone who is just trying to improve themselves. Like, the simple act of admitting that you don't know what the word spontaneity means is not something to be ashamed of. No one came out of their mother's womb knowing every single word in the fucking Merriam-Webster. If you even paid attention in school at all, then most of us, when we would be reading from a textbook or reading from a piece of text, whatever it may be, scrolling through the internet perhaps, or just reading a book, would have probably at one point run into a phrase or a word that they don't know the meaning of or don't know how to pronounce and look that shit up. That's how I've learned a lot of my words. That's how I've expanded my vocabulary, both in English and in Japanese. So why is it that all of a sudden, when a young man with a lot of influence on the internet turns around and goes, hey guys, I have to admit to you all that I may not be the smartest motherfucker out there. I may have spent a lot of my youth just streaming to a very young Twitch audience and just hurling words out there without a care in the world, and maybe influencing some of the younger audience to think in certain ways that may be anti-intellectualist. And that's a big point that I want to talk about. And I kind of touched upon it when I ranted about the whole philosophy being cringe thing, which if you haven't seen, then check out that video. I just don't understand why there is almost these two extremes on the internet now between people who really want to pursue knowledge and better themselves, improve their life, improve their knowledge base on certain things, and then those that are just abhorrently against that sentiment. Anything that has to do with learning something new or being vulnerable to your faults and wanting to openly say, hey, I kind of suck at A, B, C, D, E, and I want to improve those things by doing A, B, C, D, E, it may be slow, but at least I'm taking the first couple of steps, results in people turning around and going, look at this loser trying to improve their life. Look at this stupid idiot who doesn't know what the word spontaneity means. Come on, bro, you're a grown-ass man. I don't know the first fucking thing about Kai Cenat, and to be honest, I don't really care to know, but if a man like that with that much of an influence, that much of a crowd that is constantly looking at him, decides to promote the idea of self-improvement by reading books and pursuing a career and not letting fame dictate his mental health, then I say that's a massive W. That's what the kids say, right? Massive W? Yeah, W's in the chat. Because God knows there are so many people on the internet who don't even know they're stupid, who don't even know that they're misguided, who don't even know that they're probably living in an unhealthy way, both physically and or mentally. Just having the strength to even admit to the world, and especially admit to yourself that maybe you're not 100% with certain things. Maybe I have a couple of things that I need to work on and improve to better my life is a thing that should be praised by everybody and anybody. Yes, we love to see someone improving their lives for the better. So how has it turned into these two extremes of either, hell yeah, good on you, buddy, improve yourself, and the other side saying, you're cringe because you don't know what the word spontaneity means and you've never read a book in your life? Why are you being sad, bro? You're a rich Twitch streamer with so much influence and infinite amount of money. You don't have the right to be sad. I don't know if there's a word that exists in English, but in Japanese, there is a phrase which is yumeze, or I guess the direct translation would be the fame tax. This is a phrase that I have seen being thrown around when referring to situations where a famous person expresses something negative in their lives, maybe expresses the fact that they're not happy or they're not fulfilled with their lives and they want to change things up. Or maybe something as simple as getting doxxed by someone or having way less privacy than the average person. Some people will say, well, that's too bad, bro. You have to pay the fame tax, which is the dumbest thing imaginable. Can we just get that out of the way? If a young, successful, rich man decides to one day say, hey, you know what? All of this money, all of this fame, all of this influence, all of this bathing in the spotlight has put a serious toll on my mental health and I don't want to do this anymore. In fact, if anything, I now realize that a lot of what I am and a lot of what I've been doing is maybe not the right way to go, and I really need to switch things up and drastically change my life so that I can be happy and I can be fully satisfied with the life I want to live, then we should all be able to slowly push that man's back in the right direction and say, go for it, bro. Pulling someone down just because they're trying to improve their life is just the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Like, how did this become a thing? Has it always been a thing on the internet? Honestly, at this point, I don't know. And obviously, I don't want to make this about myself, so I'll just make this part brief here. But as someone who also, in the past couple of years, basically since I've turned 30, has made a bunch of changes in my life. You know, I started doing CrossFit. I've been reading a lot more books now. I've been self-studying all sorts of different things that I want to improve. It shouldn't matter how famous or how rich or how influential or how this person has everything in their life already situation they may be. If someone decides that they want to be vulnerable for a little bit and want to express that vulnerability and encourage the people that they influence to maybe follow in their footsteps of self-improvement and self-discovery, then that shouldn't be subject to any amount of scrutiny. Now, of course, the argument can be made that maybe it's all performative. Maybe he's just saying this shit, but he's not actually doing it. And yeah, that is a valid argument. I mean, I only heard about this story from my friend like last week, maybe like a couple of days ago, something like that. I don't know exactly what like the consistency of this, like, you know, reading 20 minutes a day thing or, you know, trying to do self-study and self-improvement thing is on Kai's half. But at the end of the day, if he follows through with it, then good on him. And even if it is a little bit performative, there are still going to be some people in his audience who absolutely are die-hard Kai fans who will probably just swallow everything that he says. And if that thing that they're going to swallow is going to result in them self-improving and self-studying and leading a better, healthier lifestyle, then maybe it's fine to be a little bit performative in that sense. I really want the internet or whichever party on the internet who is responsible for this anti-intellectualism or anti-self-improvement or whatever to just stop. Like, please stop. Everybody knows it's just projection. Like, those are the very people who need to self-study and self-improve because they have all of this, I don't know where this bitterness comes from, but this weird bitterness towards people who have supposedly everything in their lives and yet are still complaining that they're unhappy or whatever. Like, yeah, dude, they're humans. Fame, money, and influence will definitely not buy you happiness for most people. But what it can buy you is the time and the freedom to pursue that happiness. And if a young, famous, influential person like Kai Cenat has decided that he wants to self-improve and he wants to self-study and make his life a little bit happier than without all of this fame and money and influence, then good on him. That's something that we should all be applauding. And the saddest part is that I know I'm gonna get a bunch of people in the comments of this video saying, oh wow, this guy is such a dick rider for Kai, bro, blah blah blah. We should all be uplifting ourselves and each other rather than trying to tear down someone who is trying to be better and be happier. Because if you are one of those people who are just trying to tear someone down for being happy or trying to be happy, then maybe you should take a good look at yourselves. So yeah, Kai, I know you're probably not going to watch this video, but I don't care. Good on you for wanting to get better at reading and comprehension and speech. It's an important tool. Good luck on whatever it is that you're planning to do after streaming. And always remember to pursue your own happiness because at the end of the day, the last barricade to happiness is you. Hell, I might even pick up Atomic Habits, the book that he was reading, because I have seen that book a lot and I have been curious about it. So, hey, you know what? Maybe in commemoration, I will read it and I'll let you know how I feel about it in a video on this channel. But yeah, that was just a little rant that I wanted to talk about today. Let me know your thoughts about it down in the comments below. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smack my face right here. Subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. Over here next to my head, a couple more videos you can check out if you enjoyed this one. Keep reading, keep studying, keep improving your life, and you'll find happiness. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.